PGCE Research Bites, student-teacher research from the team behind Emma and Tom Talk Teaching.
Hello and welcome to PGCE Research Bites. My name is Kerry Bevan and I'm the subject lead for MFL. And today I'm with Sonia, who's going to talk about Assignment 1 and her research project. So perhaps, Sonia, can you tell us a bit about which topic you were given and how you narrowed it down?
So the topic I chose was blended learning, and I chose it because that was the topic I knew the least about. And I thought that after pandemic, so many things happened to teaching and to teachers and students in school. So I wanted to know a little bit more about it. And I thought it's going to be with us, technology, how we use it. So I wanted to know a little bit more and research that. And I narrow it by, I wanted to know how to create engagement in online learning. So I read loads of articles where they were saying that people were demotivated, they didn't want to work, they didn't want to engage with learning at home. So I wanted to see if the engagement is possible online, and if it is, how.
Okay. Really interesting. Mm-hmm. So can you tell us a little bit more about the articles that you chose and the research that you found there?
So I started with theory. I looked into different theories about learning and motivation, and I found self-determination theory, which is like a broad psychological theory that looks into how we as human beings get motivated and how we can motivate ourselves. And this theory has become quite popular now in educational settings, obviously because we want to motivate our students to learn. So that was my first article. And the authors of the article argued that in order to motivate pupils, there are three needs that we have to satisfy as teachers. The first one is the need of autonomy, so the pupils need to feel that they have certain control over learning and how they learn. The need of competence, where they feel they are challenged, but they can overcome the challenge and they can progress in the learning. And another need is the need of relatedness, so they can feel part of the learning community, so they have positive relationships with pupils, with positive relationships with teachers and a school in general. And that was my lead article that then guided me through all the other caps. So then I just asked myself a question, if that theory stands in online learning, if self-determination theory can be applied in online or blended learning. And I found an article that confirmed that yes, it is possible. But there are certain modifications that we have to do. So I just asked myself, what are the modifications we have to do in order for this theory to work? So I found really interesting article made by a researcher who actually did the research on his students. He focused on relatedness, and he had all his learning move online, and he wanted to create relatedness amongst his students. And he chose positive psychology, so Dweck's growing mindset, expressing self of gratitude, and by that he succeeded in creating kind of positive relationship between his students and between students themselves as well. So that was really, really interesting article. And then I looked into the need of competence and autonomy, and I found that they are very closely related. And in one of the articles, the authors demonstrated that in order for pupils to feel autonomous, they have to feel competent, and vice versa. So they were arguing that we need to make sure that when pupils learn online, they feel competent, and this will bring their sense of autonomy, and it would allow them to work independently. And then I brought the caps to my subject, to international languages, because when we want to motivate our students, we very often use games. So I looked if this theory works with games, because games are so much about rewards, and I wanted to see if pupils can be motivated so that they kind of enjoy learning language without those external factors. And I found a really interesting article where researchers did an experiment, and they found out that actually it is possible, but we have to be careful because some needs might decrease other needs or have negative impact on the other needs. So if we focus on competitiveness in the games, we can increase the sense of autonomy or the sense of competence. But that might have negative impact on the sense of relatedness, because pupils might feel that they keep losing, so they either distance themselves from the other students in the group, or they might feel that they are not good enough to win. So as a teachers, we have to be careful, and we have to think what is our objectives when we choose games as a tool to learn languages. And finally, my last article was a reflection, because when I was reading all the articles, there was so much emphasis on us as the teachers, what we have to do, how much knowledge we have to have, not only about our subject, but also about IT. So I looked into how teachers' IT skills influence students' engagement at home. And that was really interesting, because the authors found out that teachers who are more confident in using IT technology, they were better at differentiation. And they also found out that there's no such a thing as digital native. So because the technology is so vast, there's so many programs, and it changes so quickly that we can't keep up. So we have to be mindful that the teachers need to have the tools, updated tools, and feel confident in using the technology.
Wow, thank you very much, Sonia. So what were your recommendations? So coming out of those 6 articles, what were your recommendations for your school?
So I did few. The main one was that I recommended this theory, this method, a self-determination theory, because it does work in face-to-face teaching. It's very effective, but it also works in online teaching. My second recommendation was to be mindful of the needs and to think if we want to create that we can actually choose the need we want to emphasize. So if we have year 7 pupils, so maybe we're going to focus on the need of relatedness to create the sense of community between pupils and relationship with school. And maybe with older children, we maybe give them more autonomy or may relatedness between themselves rather than teacher. And my third point was to invest in teachers' training, and don't forget that there's not such a thing as a digital native.
And how did you find presenting your next steps to your lead partner school? How did that go?
Surprisingly very well. I was really apprehensive, but it was after presenting the poster, it was really nice, professional conversation with the school, and professional in a very positive sense. It was because I was curious about blended learning, so I was curious how the school dealt with the pandemic and how they moved to online learning and what their experiences were. And the lead school was interested in my research. They were really interested in the theory, and I think they really appreciated it.
Thank you. So what do you think your next steps are, both as a practitioner in the classroom and also as a researcher?
So yeah, when I was researching this assignment, I noticed there's a gap, like a split between teachers, practitioners and researchers, those who kind of do the research on us. And I think I would like to bridge this gap or even blur this gap and become researcher while I teach and practice. So use the research, use the articles, the theories, and try them on in my classroom, and don't be afraid and to challenge them maybe as well. And I think the article, my third article is really good because actually the researcher used the positive psychology and tested it in online learning and had real results.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.